Hello and welcome to the News Button. In today's edition of News Button, we shall discuss about the ongoing Russia-Ukrainian war and the probable scenarios in case President Putin loses the war. Friends, due to Russia's massive mobilization of troops and military hardware, many security experts had predicted that it will be a matter of days before Kyiv falls. But nothing short of that has happened, even after 52 days of war. It may sound unpalatable, but true. Putin's forces received a beating at the hands of a far less powerful force. If the Ukrainian General Staff is to be believed, Russia has suffered deaths of over 19,500 soldiers and huge loss of military hardware. Around 154 fighter jets, 137 attack helicopters, 119 unmanned aerial vehicles, 725 tanks, 923 armored vehicles, and 347 artillery systems. Russian forces also lost 111 multiple rocket launcher systems, 1,387 various motor vehicles, 76 fuel tanks, 55 anti-aircraft systems, and 4 short-range ballistic missile systems. Initially, it was thought to be Ukrainian propaganda and overhyped to boost the morale of the Ukrainian military. But as clear visual proof emerged, the truth began to sink in that all is not well with the Russian forces. That Ukraine, despite being a far less powerful nation, has brought mighty Russia to its knees, destroying its military pride, killing its personnel, destroying its epic fighter jets, and capturing men and machinery. More important, it has resiliently withstood heavy destruction and death due to Russian aerial bombardment and missile strikes. Using its self-developed weapons, as well as military aid from the US and European powers, it has so far been able to deny air dominance to the Russian Air Force by regularly shooting down its fighter jets, even recapturing the lost areas on many occasions. President Zelensky, an excellent communicator, has proved more than a match to his Russian counterpart as a wartime leader in refusing to leave his country and rallying his forces and his battered people to defend against Russian invasion, and in molding world opinion in his favor. He has appeared in a long list of virtual parliamentary addresses to various nations, including the US, the UK, Germany, apart from the United Nations Security Council, rallying massive support to his war efforts in terms of funding and military equipments from external sources. And as a feather on its cap, Ukraine, a couple of days back, managed to not only surgically strike Moscow, the flagship of Russia's Black Sea Fleet, but drowned it too, a massive blow to Russia. The ship was a symbol of the Russian power, and its drowning, therefore, is historical. It's the biggest ship to be drowned since World War II. A marvelous military achievement for a country which has zero naval power, after its small fleet of naval forces was captured by Russia during the annexation of Crimea. As a mark of excellent coordination between its drones and missile battery, Ukraine has done the unthinkable, drowning a flagship with multi-layered air defense system. After the condemnable Bucha killings of civilians came to light, the world deplored the Russian action. Even Russia's closest allies, like India, abstained from voting in the UN, despite Russia's pointed warning. The voting saw the eviction of Russia from the world apex human rights body. If the Bucha killings can be safely termed at the climax of the Russia-Ukrainian war, then the sinking of the flagship in the Black Sea is effectively the anticlimax. The event is all set to give a huge moral boost to the Ukrainian forces and their embattled president. It will also help foreign big military aid from other nations. Nations prefer to be on the winning side. It will help generate more faith in Zelensky's leadership, rallying more resources and equipments around him. Going by the past events in this conflict, it would not be a big surprise if a more dramatic beating Russia receives at the hands of Ukraine's forces. If it happens, it will only add up to the destruction of hundreds of tanks, military vehicles, helicopters, fighter jets, and sinking of a naval flagship. Besides this, the morale of the Russian forces now doesn't seem to be very high, with select, renowned, and well-decorated Russian commanders falling to Ukrainian snipers on the road to Kyiv. Compounding the problem for Russia further is the ever-increasing economic sanctions from the US, Canada, Australia, and the US's European allies. Although the Russian gas has managed to stabilize the ruble for now, preventing Russia's economy to go into the rubles, it will be difficult to say how long it can save Russia in the face of a long-drawn, highly expensive war and crippling economic sanctions. Hit by unprecedented sanctions, the Russian economy has already plunged into a deep recession, with output projected to contract by over 11.2% in 2022. So, collectively, all this may lead to the defeat of Putin in the long run if he allows Russia to bleed further like this. The defeat of Putin looks almost certain in the long term, except, of course, if he goes out of patience and chooses to hurl nuclear weapons to win an easy, quick, and shocking victory. But again, the cost would be unthinkably heavy for humanity to bear. God forbid that never happens. As the specter of war draws long on the horizon, the defeat of Russian forces looks somewhat feasible. If not in the immediate future, it may happen in the long term. If not militarily, it will happen economically. If not an all-out defeat, there would be at least be a defeat purpose for which the war was waged. Whatever be the scale, nature, and timing, a defeat stares in the face of Putin. Ukraine might not be a bigger state, but it has proved what a determined people with an inspiring leader can do. Let us not forget how the Russians were humiliated in Afghanistan, how the US had to flee Afghanistan. So the moot question is, what if Putin loses? Well, yes, if Putin loses, it would have a spiraling effect. It would sound the death knell of the superpower called Russia. Ukraine's pro-Russian rebel-controlled Donetsk and Luhansk regions, which have been already recognized by Russia, would be fully integrated back into Ukraine. Besides, Russia may have to give back Crimea to Ukraine, which it had forcibly annexed in 2014 without much opposition from Ukraine. After it gets back Crimea, Ukraine would emerge as a new decisive naval power in the Black Sea, contesting hitherto continued Russian naval supremacy. With US and NATO help, it would for sure raise a strong navy to preempt future naval adventurism by Russia or any other country in its waters. Besides, the power and prestige of a post-war victorious Ukraine will spread far and wide. It would emerge as a powerful European state that could withstand the most powerful country in Eurasia. Of course, it will join NATO, a point that has been hotly contested by Russia. After it joins NATO, NATO would effectively reach Russia's doorsteps. Similarly, a defeat for Putin will hasten further expansion of NATO, with states like Finland, Sweden, and others taken in. It would also prepare the ground for the possible exit of a number of Kremlin-backed governments in Belarus, Hungary, and some other countries. Not just that, apart from peripheral support reversals, a defeat will also determine Putin's stay in power. A defeat or a defeat of purpose for the Ukrainian invasion will sack Putin's throne at Kremlin. This will embolden his opposition, spur street protests, may even create rebellions in the ranks of the army. A defeat would give sticks in the hands of the opposition. War-induced inflation would set people to come on the streets. And lastly, a purposeless, demoralized, embattled, and fatigued army may try to capture power at the Kremlin. In essence, it might end the Putin era in Russian politics. A probable Russian defeat will underline some significant points in global strategic affairs. One, that traditional military behemoths may not be able to score quick victories against smaller tactical and determined resistance due to latest changes in technology, as exemplified by TB2 drone strikes on columns of advanced tanks, Starlink-guided cruise missile attacks on warships, shoulder-fired stingers against fighter jets, and sometimes anti-tank missiles against combat helicopters, and cyber warfare to suffocate enemy communication and to disable executions. Adoption of an infinite approach could succeed in overwhelming a much stronger and more powerful adversary. Clearly, Russia failed to see the effects of new technologies like the drones. Not in the remote past did the Armenian army, laced with advanced Russian weapons, were defeated by Azerbaijan's tactical forces, who deployed Turkish drones to devastating effect, decimating the fighting back of the Armenian forces. An army that had earlier defeated the Azerbaijanis a few years back. 2. It will trigger debates over the usefulness and relevance of huge conventional weapons and standing armies, and toss the world into another era of hot arms race and development and deployment of unconventional weapons. 3. It will encourage resistance against regional hegemons like China, countries like Taiwan and India, who are irked by the Chinese, will go for large-scale adoption of unconventional alternative defense technology to deter bigger powers in case of an aggression. 4. It will elongate the sole superpower status of the US, while shrinking Russia's influence to areas well within its borders, once again, and discouraging an errant and increasingly aggressive China, delaying a direct challenge from China to its status, while forcing it to keep on rising peacefully, quote unquote, for some more time without a big say
However, one
on
thing is
world
for certain,
affairs.
it will grow in
Hope you
importance
like the
as we move
conversation.
forward into the 21st.
So what are you waiting for? Just share your thoughts in the comment section, and if you haven't already, then like and subscribe to our channel. It will help us producing newer videos of your choice. In the next video, we shall discuss what if Putin wins the war. So stay tuned with us. Till then, goodbye. Thanks for your time.